Today I'm going to open up Oak. Now, this is a game that I first encountered at Essen last year, and at the convention there were a lot of nature-themed games like forest and trees, and it was a little too much. You started to kind of think, okay, well, help me find a game that isn't nature-themed. So I didn't take a very close look at it until I made the video 5 games that are better than Everdell, which is where I featured this game because I did a little bit of research into it. And the thing that set it apart, that distinguished the game, was its unique take on worker placement. This has promotable workers, and it looks really nice too, as we're about to find out. So that's not all though. In that video, I emphasized the worker placement mechanic, but there's actually a lot more going on in this game. So first, let's take a look at what we've got here. So the rule book. Now, one of the things that distinguishes this game is there is a lot of icons. So if we jump to the last page, we've got this guide to iconography. And those are just all of the icons you'll encounter in the game. And then there are creature cards. Each creature card has a unique effect. Now, granted, these effects are supported by the icons. The game, I believe it's designed to be language independent. The whole thing is told in symbols, but you do have this very lengthy appendix to describe all of the abilities. So you've got potions, then there are the druids. Actually, this is what I was talking about, your workers. So your workers in this game are called druids, and each one can be upgraded by putting an ornament on it. And then once that worker is upgraded, that worker and only that worker gains the benefit. So they're all described here. Also, players have player boards, which have represent their druidic order with unique abilities there, and moot cards for all of the actions. So a ton of different things that you can do in this game. This is kind of a game, despite how many icons there are, it looks really complicated, but it isn't that difficult to play. It's actually a pretty short rule book, all things considered. Really, the appendix is where most of the length is. In fact, if we go into it and we look at the player after the setup, overview of the game, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then final scoring, 5 pages of rules, and then the appendix, 1, 2, 3 pages of 5 pages of rules, 3 pages of appendix, and then of course front and back. Okay, so here's the board. We've got the oak tree. And these are some extensions to player boards. There are also ingredients. There's a very interesting passing mechanic in this game. What happens is at the beginning of every round, there are ingredients that get drawn from a bag, and they're put over here in the forest. And when you're taking your turn, you're performing actions on the board, you're moving druids up on this tree, and then when you pass, you're moving your druids down here to take ingredients, which are used in another part of the game. But while everybody else keeps taking actions, you can just keep coming down here and taking ingredients. That is, as long as you don't have, as long as they're still available, and as long as you have druids available for you to use. So here is the showstopper. This is what really caught everyone's attention at Essen. These are the components that are used to upgrade the druids. So you have your little druid here, and then at one point during the game when they get upgraded, they now have something that sets them apart from the rest of your workers. So this is the ingredient bag that you'll be drawing out of. So I'm wondering how I'm going to like that, this ingredient thing, because what's happening, we get these potions, and they're randomly selected, different for each game. They go down here in the corner. So you've got one potion that you're always using, and then each potion has different ingredients. And then for the entire game, these are the ingredients. That is what's going to be valuable during the game. And so when the round starts and you've drawn some from the bag and you're seeing them out here, you have to make this assessment and say, oh, well, look, this ingredient is available right now. I want to pass first so I can take this, because this potion, I think this one lets you do an advanced action card, or this one gives you a type of income, I believe. So you're thinking, okay, well, this is going to be a very valuable resource for this particular game. Whereas if you look at acorns over here, acorns aren't going to be valuable very much at all because they're only used for this one potion. And then that's going to vary based on which potions come out during the game. So that's one thing I think is interesting. There are a few other ways to get ingredients, I should say, although as far as I understand so far, getting ingredients comes from either here or some card that will let you draw from the bag. So there's a lot of randomization there. I'm not going to pop out all of these, but what I do want to look at are the player boards and talk a little bit more about one more really distinct characteristic of the game, which is the passing mechanic, or sorry, the catch-up mechanic. So this is your player board, and when you start, you place your druids, 3 of them, into these resting places. All of the rest of them go up here, and during the course of the game, what's happening is they're moving up this tree. So you start the game, you've got a few druids, and one action will let you move up, and you have to choose which path you want to move up. You know, the left branch, the center, or the right. And then once you've chosen your path, you can't go back and go up another path. Now, as you do that, let's say during the course of the game, you've got something here and something here. This is telling me that I can get a type of income. So this one's going to give me feathers. This one's going to give me runes. How do you get that income, though? As you move up on this tree, there is a solstice marker at the top of the board. So the sun is moving around the board, and at certain points on the board, right here, there's a festival. And when the festival happens, every player who's behind the solstice marker gets to receive income. That's the catch-up mechanic. So there's this really interesting timing in the game because, of course, if you're up on this tree, you want to receive that income. So it's almost like to play the game well, you want to be careful not to score too many points too early, otherwise you can't participate in this festival. I've only seen this done really prominently in one other game, Isle of Skye, which has another very similar catch-up mechanic where you almost want to be behind other players in order to get the benefit from the catch-up mechanic and then pull ahead really far in the very end. So when I play this game, that's something I really want to understand better. The strategy in capitalizing on the festival as long as you stay behind the solstice marker. We'll take a look. Oh, wow. Speaking of the solstice marker, that's it. Large wooden marker that would go up there. And we'll take a look at some of these cards here. Now, I play a lot of fantasy games where they go with a more whimsical artwork. This artwork is almost creepy. It's a very serious, kind of a dark artwork. It looks really great. But some of these creatures are like the kinds of things you would see in nightmares. And so that guy's kind of whimsical, actually. I guess it just depends on which one it is. A little creepy. Creature cards, and then these other cards are the moot cards. This is something else. One more thing about this game, and then we'll wrap up this video of initial impressions. I've read the rule books, and I don't understand one thing, and that is the action spaces on the board are here and here. When you take the action, you put a worker there, and the action you perform is the action that's on the card. And so what I don't understand is, why even have cards at all? Why not just print the action on the board space? Now, I do know that there are upgradable cards. So you've got, let's see if I can determine which is which. Maybe it's, oh, these are for the player colors. These cards can be upgraded. So one is stronger than the other. But why don't you just put like the basic action and the upgrade action? I'm not sure about that. It seems interesting that you're playing from a hand of cards. It doesn't seem absolutely necessary for the mechanic, but maybe there's something about it that I'm just missing. So that'll be, maybe as I play it more, I'll understand that better. Now, this game, by the way, I did try it in advance, but I played it on Tabletopia, the digital implementation of the game, which is very clunky and difficult to play around on, but it gives you a good sense of the game. So if you're looking at this, if you're thinking you might want to take a closer look at it, I would encourage you to use Tabletopia. I will leave a link in the description, and you can expect to see a more thorough review of this game coming soon. Thanks for watching. Next time. Bye-bye.